Call to order.
Call to order.
Alright, we're on.
Hey Tyler?
Good evening.
Let's stand, pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody. Big crowd, must be warm outside, come into air conditioning. All right, start off with the signature folder. We did an abatement for 204-15 lot number.
Can hear you.
Oh, turn that off.
Or speak up.
Yeah, turn that off.
That won't shut up.
There you go. All right, we did an abatement for 204-15 a lot of $41.63. Tax, from a tax standpoint. Board of Selectmen minutes. I'm gonna let you, I was on vacation.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes
For,
for June 24th, 2025.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Took a job.
I took his job, that's it. That's what he gets for being absent, that one.
Hey, I enjoyed my vacation. Why don't you do the manifest too, because I wasn't here that July 2nd.
I make a motion to approve the manifest for July 2nd, the amount of $32,875.47.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Go for the next one.
Oh, you don't wanna make that call? I'll entertain a motion, no, I'm just kidding. I'll make a motion dated July 10th, to approve the manifest dated July 10th, 2025 in the amount of $884,973.45. $828,589,000 is for our school payment to Governor Wentworth School District. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any
I
discussion?
don't want to. I wish we
No
could-
discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we did the Board of Selectmen tonight.
Through mail.
We already did that. Now,
And that's already been addressed. So,
We're good with that?
yeah, that's been addressed. It's an email, with concerns about,
Pine River.
Pine River Road. Pine River Road's under reconstruction right now, so that will address any of the concerns. Within reason, they'll address some of the concerns, but.
All right, we're gonna jump to 8A, appointment, Joey Thurston. You can say. Yeah, you can say.
I'm here to, discuss the Effingham Falls Cemetery. It's been in disrepair, disgrace, I've taken pictures of what it looked like. It's appalling
Yes, it
to
is.
have a cemetery in the middle of Effingham Falls looking like this. There's no trustees for that cemetery. My husband was the only one that was the trustee. We could not get anybody else to be a trustee for that cemetery. My husband also, over the years, has always made sure that that cemetery was maintained. Since his passing last year, there has been nothing done to it. No maintenance, no acceptance from the state, from the town, nothing. I think it's terrible. There are people that are in that cemetery that are local people. Our parents, our cousins, our aunts, our uncles that are in that cemetery. And I think it's very disrespectful to leave that cemetery looking like the pictures I showed you. I would like to know, and my son is here. This past weekend, I paid my son to come over with a friend of his to mow that cemetery, because it was in such disrepair. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that should not be my responsibility. It should be the town of Effingham's responsibility to maintain that cemetery. It's disgraceful. My son has written to,
I wrote to the New Hampshire Cemetery Association, and they got back to me and they sent me, the trustee fund annual report. And they also had mentioned that they had accepted responsibility of all the cemeteries since 2020, and they would have, trustees to cover all of that. So, they had suggested we come to the selectmen meeting.
Yeah, I like this.
Heard.
my husband has, in the past, asked for help from the town. And the town has refused. Because there is a trust fund. And there is $4,000 in that trust fund. But it cannot be used for maintenance of that cemetery. The only thing that can be used is the interest on that loan. Now, you know and I know that the interest rates are not very high to put enough money on that
Can I,
trust fund.
can I interrupt for a second?
Yes.
So, what's the principal in that trust fund?
4,000.
$4,000.
So you got 4,242 right now. Go ahead, please, I just wanted to,
And my question is, there are other cemeteries in this town that have been covered by the town. No.
just one,
So who's
Would-
taking care of those cemeteries?
volunteers?
I was just gonna let you finish, are you done for now, and,
Well, the other thing I wanted to know is, if you know, if that trust fund is an irrevocable trust or a revocable trust. Because if it's an irrevocable trust, none of the monies in that trust fund can be used. If it's a revocable trust, the money can be used for maintenance.
Got
But,
some head shakings back there,
We have the trustee person.
the trustees of the trust fund.
but there is nothing going on.
so the director,
Go ahead, please.
I'll let you guys, cause that was the most recent comment, so I'll let you guys speak to that and the legalities of the
Carol
trust.
Fister, I'm a trustee of the trust funds. There's a couple of issues with that trust. One is that it's in an association that needs to be in 2021, Lyle was ready to dissolve it,
Right.
and they just never got a chance to follow through.
Mhm.
Before the town even considers taking it over, that has to happen. I
Right.
think it has to be free and clear. But the way the trust was set up in the town in 1928,
Covers all the trust.
the principal cannot be used. It's an interest-only account, so what Lyle would do is every year,
Right.
we were paying him $800 a year for maintenance. And basically, until he got down below the fact, there's very little interest left. If the town votes at town meeting, or a special town meeting to dissolve the trust from the trust fund,
Right,
the principal, I believe, goes back to the general fund of the town. Because that's where the money came from to establish the trust.
right.
I know at one point, any monies or properties that were supposed to go and nothing ever came back and went into it beyond that. So it's been kind of stagnant. And again, that's very little money left on the interest side. To dissolve your associate, I don't think the town could even consider taking anything over, not that they are. I think they have one cemetery they take care of.
Right.
The association should do their dissolution. There's in the Lyle's papers, there should be a, from September 21st to 21 or something, there was paperwork that he was getting ready to sign. With the Department of Justice is where that was going back and forth. Because he just couldn't get, like she said, they couldn't get trustees.
Right.
They were, you know, without a, and he got plenty of letters, without a 5-member board, you're not going to blah, 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 and he just couldn't. So, again, the principal will go back to the general fund of the town, and the interest, you know, could be spent on your mowing.
There's no interest,
I know, there's very little, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
you know, we could go down to 0 and give you, you know, if you put an invoice in for the mowing.
I know that my husband paid people to mow that lawn.
Right, $800 a year he got reimbursed, to
Well-
pay the people
Right.
that mowed and people that
Right.
picked up the.
Well, he
and then
also,
you got donations from other people.
Right, that's all the trust paid out.
Right, exactly, yes, I understand that.
Okay,
Uh,
right.
And that's just a
I have a
history.
lot of other things to say.
You know.
I wasn't aware, I mean, I was aware that the town wasn't taking care of this one, but I wasn't aware that the town wasn't taking care of any of them, except for
How many cemeteries we have?
Takes care of the center
Um,
by himself.
No, he doesn't.
Not anymore because he.
I do. I have for years.
That has passed.
So,
Yeah.
the town of Effingham has 72 cemeteries, known cemeteries. They're still searching, we are still searching for more. This isn't a, you know, a plug for any group, whatever, but, a group that I'm part of, Effingham Connect. We went around and GPS coordinated all the 72 cemeteries that we are known. The town of Effingham is responsible for Woodland Cemetery. Technically and legally, the town of Effingham is also responsible for the Poor Cemetery that is at the former, Poor Farm on Moody Road. By law, because that was a poor farm, it wasn't a private cemetery. All other cemeteries with perpetual care funds in them and so forth, it's private property. And as long as it's private property, and for many, many years, the town of Effingham in their cemetery fund, because the selectmen have always been cemetery trustees. And there's been sporadically through the years where people actually did sign up for those or accepted appointments. But it was a thankless job, so it never, you know, it came and went. Back in the 80s and early 90s, very, very early 90s, we did take care of all the cemeteries. They were at least mowed and the brush cleared and stone walls repaired. That was one of my first jobs in the town of Effingham. I did that with my father for many, many years. And then because of state statute, it is unlawful for municipalities to spend money on private property. Last October, I took a course at the NHMA conference. I actually have that file here, the whole course, on, don't forget about graveyards and the legalities of municipalities stepping up. Now, I will say, and we talked about this at a meeting our last selectmen's meeting, that I feel that we should do like other towns are doing. There's a way around it. There is a way around it. There's gotta be, because there are towns around us, the town of Ossipee.
right.
They mow all of they do something, the basics to their cemeteries, and they do have town owned
This is a 4 time a
cemeteries.
year mow job, that,
It is,
it's not a weekly,
yep.
you know, and I understand.
And at Center Effingham Cemetery, there is an association. I am with the ESPYs and the Libbies on that association. That association too ran out of money, ran out of interest. The principal was all that was left, basically. So I volunteered for years, as did the ESPYs, to mow that cemetery. Not to throw shade at anybody, not to point the fingers or say everybody, you know, everybody's different, but I do that because my great-grandparents and my grandparents and my great-great-grandparents and my aunts are buried in that cemetery. That's why I do that cemetery. It's to be a good steward of that land, and I, unfortunately, some of these cemeteries, the 72, there aren't any relations left in town. They're all gone. Our nonprofit group that I'm involved with, they also own the Davis Meeting House on Green Mountain Road. That has a cemetery. I mow that, the group mows that. I mowed that on 4th of July, as a matter of fact. Because again, we gotta be good stewards. It takes somebody stepping up. We do have an alternative solution for this. there is somebody that's expressed an interest in making some sort of agreement, we need to get through the legalities with the DOJ's office, closing out the association to find out how, because that, and hopefully these guys chime in, before this town steps up to take care of that cemetery, with all due respect, I hope they do the same with every one of the cemeteries.
Absolutely.
It is a beautiful cemetery. Lyle was a beautiful person. I know a lot of, great people that were buried there. So not to take away from, but there are in every cemetery, there are great leaders and people that were involved in this community. So not to take away from that, but I hope that they step up, but it's whether or not we can or not. So for me, the best course of action is to have, if it's possible, we have somebody that's expressed an interest in doing a swap. Because that cemetery is a giant rectangle. And at the very top of it is a .0383 acre triangle. They want that triangle. With a agreement that they will take care of that cemetery,
What do they want that triangle for?
to add to their property. That they're in a butter.
Who's the abutter?
I'm not at liberty to say that. But,
You can go on tax map and look right at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's that's just one, that's just one thing.
Okay.
And there can be some sort of agreement that they see to it that that's taken care of 3-4 times a year
Right.
for undetermined amount of time. That's not our decision to make.
right,
That would be, and this is the difficult thing, is there's no association. So the association can't make that decision. So we need to contact the state to say, if there's no association, it's a cemetery, so who owns that? Who owns that? Who could convey that triangle legally and set up some sort of agreement? We don't have the answers to that. But as far as the town, I mean, taking it over, I'm 1/3, but for us to take that over, we need to take over the other 72.
And from
It's
the,
only fair and respectful to everybody in this community.
and we have to look at the costs. Taking over those cemeteries, maintenance and all works.
right.
How much do you charge, per you do it 4 times a year, right?
I did it 4 times a year, but like this, I spent 10 hours here on Sunday.
Yeah, but let's say the regular.
Yes, typically, it's $400 or $500, somewhere in that area.
Each time?
Each time.
I don't know if this says, I have a copy of some paperwork that you gave me.
But there's some trees that are down, and, I mean, I didn't take care of any of that. Lovett's Stone has trees all over it. Yeah, that needs to be taken care of at some point.
And obviously, if it was maintained like it used to be, it wouldn't take 10 hours each
Right,
time,
exactly,
clearly, but it is very time consuming.
right. I
Absolutely,
mean,
when the cemetery is once a
If
year.
I do it by myself, it takes me 8 hours. Yeah, in just a regular, week wise.
Have you approached any of the nonprofits, organizations in town,
I'm
and
not.
the EPS, the Preservation Society, or, I know, I think in the past, the Preservation a couple of years ago donated some money for the mowing of that cemetery.
No, we haven't. I didn't know who to go to, that's why I'm here.
Well, we have a meeting tomorrow night at 6, if you wanna come there to 6 o'clock and make your presentation. You might get a response.
Okay,
And we, in the meantime, we are actively looking at this, like, there was some deep digging that the trustees were doing on how much there really is as far as principal and interest to get a more accurate figure, is that safe to say?
Still looking, it goes before the 90s, so you have to think.
So they're doing a deep, that, it is work in progress.
right,
It's just, and I mean, we were approached by the Department of Justice in '23,
Yeah.
Many, yeah.
We went to-
about, the lack of a full board and the dissolvement of the association and what was gonna happen and what our proceedings were. And It's, yeah, the wheel of, how does that say? That was the wheel of justice, that's the
Yeah,
wrong
that's the wheel
analogy,
of
but.
time had caught up.
May I add? So just, and Joe, you and I have talked numerous times, and I've been doing research here and there as much as I can. I have made an additional call
No,
to,
They're not, they're,
this is just copies.
oh, it's okay. I've made, an additional call to DOJ because I've talked to them previously when I first started. The people I reached out to are no longer there. I have yet to get any response back from them. Doing some research yesterday, we did find a few things. It does look like the association would have to be dissolved. It's from the email from the Department of Justice. That would have to be dissolved before the town were to decide
Don't mind me,
anything.
sorry, go ahead.
It's okay, before the town would decide anything. So, that,
After a while passed away, I brought all of his records to,
yeah, we did look, I actually had assistance from one of the trustees yesterday, who I greatly appreciate. And we did look through that. We didn't find any of the information that went past 1991, right?
Yeah, that was,
So that was the farthest we found. We're looking at, I think, still before then to get what the principal was.
my question is, if someone decides they want a plot in that cemetery, who do they contact?
I don't think it was anybody.
We can't right now. We can't, that's a very, very unfortunate thing. And I mean, to the point where, by state statute, in order for somebody to be interred in a cemetery trustee or a selectman have to be present, at least one, by state statute. So, like, I just happened to attend the last funeral that was there, so by default, I guess they were covered. But how does that, where's the legality of that now? It's a private cemetery. In 2023, the first year I was on, there was a gentleman in town owned a piece of property. He since sold it, but on his piece of property was an old cemetery. It had Civil War, headstones in it. And he would love to have been buried there. And we contacted the, Charitable Trust Foundation, to find out, and they just said, you would need to contact a relative to get permission. So that's what the Charitable Trust Foundation said. To answer your question, I think that would be the go around. If somebody wanted to buy a plot in there, maybe.
And I know that there are some other cemeteries that Thurston's are not buried, and there's one up on 153.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I said, there is a cemetery up on 153 where Schillings used to live, on that property. There are Thurstons buried there. Because back then, they had, if someone passed away, they buried them on their property.
Right,
They didn't have a cemetery like we have here.
right.
But I know that there are, Josiah Thurston is buried up there, and there are some other relatives buried up there.
Yeah, that's the Center Effingham Cemetery, cause there are Thurstons in the Center Effingham Cemetery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thurston's in the cemetery here, and then this is a private cemetery apparently that was way back in the 1800s, that was put there by Josiah Thurston and his family, and they are there. My son, before he passed away, was there and took pictures of the cemetery, the way it looked like. And of course, the stones were in disrepair and all that, but we got permission from the owner that has the property to go in and look at the cemetery. And, Wayne said that, it was in great disrepair because it was put on private land. I think there's another one too, but I don't know exactly where it is.
So how does the trust dissolve?
you had that paperwork, I gave you a copy of the solution
I gave it to
with
you.
the Department of Justice.
Put it
and
away.
worked all of that
Would you do it?
Oh.
in 21.
I get thrown by the pictures. Do you want your pictures back?
No, you can keep them.
And Matt, the attorney had reviewed that form, Leo. The attorney had reviewed that form, so in your file somewhere, he had some addendums to the form the state had sent,
Okay,
just to follow, so you don't have to,
So this is what you gave me that day.
Yeah, this is a breakdown of, yes, yeah, the non-judicial settlement agreement is what it would be called.
Oh, that's the thing.
This is it, yeah, Lyle and us trustees and, selectmen will sign.
So he'll need a copy, he'll need a copy of that
Yeah.
probably.
I have another copy I can give you of that,
Okay,
or I can make copies right now.
if you would, thank you.
There has always been a person that's taking care of that.
That's something, huh?
Lyle's mother took care of that cemetery for years and years and years. And before that, another person. And then after Lyle's mother was not able to do it, there was another woman that took it over. And Lyle had a lot of trouble getting all the information from her, from that cemetery, and when he took it over. But
Thank you very much.
I'm pleading.
Yeah.
For help.
So his first step is solved, it's gotta get solved.
Yeah, if you, I mean, we gotta try to work on getting the association dissolved.
Okay.
In the meantime, we're still in talks with the DOJ and the Charitable Trust Foundation,
Okay.
to find that out. I will say, again, I'm just 1/3, I don't know if these guys wanna chime in,
Sure.
for the town to take it over. That's research on the legality of spending money on private property.
There's a lot
But
of,
I'm still for that, but I think we, to be good stewards of this land, not to get on this whole soapbox, as he says I like to talk, but to be good stewards of this land that was left to us by our ancestors, we should take care of them. And they're interred in all of these cemeteries and we're not doing our job. And we need to get back to that again, so.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
Cause I'm getting too old to mow the cemeteries myself.
I do the Williams and Stevens at my house, I have 6 stones.
just remember his EPS meeting tomorrow night, 6, great. FAM Preservation Society,
At the
Oh,
old
yeah.
Grange,
Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Okay. All set?
Thank you, we'll see you later, we'll be in touch.
alright, department reports, we'll start with Tyler.
I've got 2 months because I had to take a early absence from the birth of my son, which I want to first and foremost thank both the town and all of you guys for all the well wishes and everything,
yeah.
the support in my absence. It's good to be back.
So what'd you name your boy? You didn't tell me.
Noah,
Noah?
growing like a weed. He was a month old on the 4th.
I was gonna say, what was his due date, what is
His
it?
due date was the 24th, and
Right,
he
so-
came. My wife went into labor on the 3rd. I was
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
here when it happened.
You didn't feel a thing.
No, I didn't. But
Yeah,
I just
this
wanna
month.
publicly say thank you to everybody that's, given the well wishes and all you guys for all your support. I really do appreciate it. So moving forward in May was a busy month. 344 calls for service. We had 5 arrests. We pulled 4 offense reports, which this is a new addition that I added last time for those of you that weren't here. Offense reports are basically anything that we take that's going to be an investigation that leads to a criminal investigation that's going to lead to a warrant. So that's part of our investigations. We had 91 motor vehicle stops, 4 motor vehicle accidents, and the canine was deployed out one time for a missing person, elderly person in Wakefield.
Did you find them?
Uh,
No,
We got canceled on our way there, they were in their driveway.
right.
I wanna add a couple notes before I get to June. There were some major events that we had to kinda keep tight-lipped, in this town up until the court proceedings were closed. Without naming names, I will say that there was a investigation started by the Effingham Police Department early on last year and continues through the winter. Eventually was handed off to state police due to jurisdictional issues. Long of the short of it, an Effingham resident was charged and sentenced to 13 to 40 years in state prison for multiple sexual assaults.
Wow.
So that's a pretty major investigation that, it started here, but basically because of how widespread the incidents were, state police ultimately took it over because it extended beyond just Effingham. Also, I want to touch base in March. we had an overdose death in town, and due to an investigation conducted by the Effingham Police Department in conjunction with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, we made an arrest and charged an individual for the responsibility in that death. So we have multiple court proceedings coming up regarding that, but we were able to prove where the narcotics came from, who had supplied them, and ultimately that individual has been charged and arrested and is currently being held.
Wow.
So just wanted to touch base on a couple of those things, because they were pretty major events that did occur in town. Moving forward to June, June was a little bit of a weird month because I was out on leave, and at the same time Sergeant Baker, literally the same week that my son arrived, Sergeant Baker was on vacation because he got married. So I want to forefront thank our mutual aid partners in Carroll County Sheriff's Office for covering in our absence. We have 283 calls for service in June, 1 arrest, 2 offense reports were pulled, 75 motor vehicle stops, 4 motor vehicle accidents, and then the K9 was deployed out to track a wanted person that actually fled from me right here in town. It was a long and the short of it is suspicious activity actually in Woodland Cemetery. Arrived on scene, multiple individuals fled from the vehicle. One of them confirmed to be wanted. We tracked her to the road, which she was ultimately confirmed to be picked up. Fast forward, I reached out to our interstate partners, the Maine State Police, because of where the individual's residence was located, and was able to confirm that the evening prior, they'd actually fled in a high-speed pursuit from the Maine State Police and were taking refuge in Effingham. After doing so, I was able to provide information to Maine State Police, which ultimately led to the arrest and capture of the female that had fled. And she's being currently held in Maine, awaiting extradition back to New Hampshire for charges over here. So, pretty busy town. We're really happy to have such good working relationships, not only with the departments around us, but also the departments that border us in the next state over. So, any questions?
Organized.
There are copies over there if anybody would like them. Questions from the board?
Questions from the audience? Great job, thank you,
Yeah,
welcome
Thank you.
back.
Thank you.
Yes.
Glad to be back.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Both of you.
Yes, thank you very much.
I didn't realize for some reason that Brian had signed his death sentence.
It was funny. This has been planned. Oh, he had obviously planned that for a while, and sure enough, on I think it was it Tuesday or Monday, the day of that fire GT, that my wife went into labor.
I don't remember
It
now.
was, and Brian was scheduled to get married that Saturday, so just kind of all happened at once.
It was a Tuesday because we had a meeting.
Yeah, it was a
That's
Tuesday.
right,
Right. So it was Tuesday. My wife went into labor. The baby arrived Wednesday, and Brian was on days off planning for his wedding. So ultimately, thankfully for him, he stepped up and kind of took charge and was basically the guy at large while I was gone. He took responsibility, which I can't thank him enough for, knowing I have him to rely on in my absence. So
So when's your, was it Hunter, right?
Hunter,
When's he gonna be certified?
he's going to the police academy next month. Goes on the 25th, and he'll be out the 16th of December. So he'll be certified in
Wow.
December. So basically, by the first of the year, he'll be on his own and provide an additional 40 hours a week to the town of Effingham. Obviously, you can see our motor vehicle stops are really on the uptrend. One thing about Hunter is he loves to stop cars. So, forewarning to the motoring public of Effingham, he is a very motivated young individual that likes to keep a very strict traffic laws. So, we're excited to have him aboard. His training is going very, very well.
Good.
He goes down the beginning of next month for his physical entrance test, which will not be an issue for him.
Good.
So,
Okay, thank you very much, Tyler.
thank you guys.
JT, you're up.
Alright, I too have May and June to present, so I gave the board copies of those. For the month of May, we had 35 calls for service. A couple noteworthy incidents, we did have a fairly major brush fire on Libby Road, May 1st actually.
Very well detailed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I did give you a detached sheet, detailing just the incidents at Green Mountain Treatment Center each month. And I'm including all of our incidents there, not just the medical calls, so you can see what we're going up there for. Quite a few in May.
18 calls between the 2 months.
Yeah, yeah, 13 calls in May at Green Mountain Treatment Center, a mixture of fire alarms and medicals.
And do you go up every time he goes up?
Not every time, but we're up there probably more.
Yeah, they go up more than we do.
They are.
So over 1/3 of your calls for the month of May was in the treatment center.
They do have ongoing fire alarm problems, as you can see, and they are in the process of replacing the fire alarm system. So.
Linda had a question.
I was wondering if the audience could get a copy of those.
Absolutely, I'll leave a couple extras on the table.
Thank you.
And for the month of June, we had 37 calls. Of those, we did have a significant building fire on Molly Philbrick Road. And 5 calls up at the treatment center. Again, an alarm activation and the rest are medicals.
It's quite a decrease from there.
You all done? Steve?
Just an informational question, I know that we get compensated for calls to Green Mountain for our fire department. What about for our police department?
No contract. They didn't have a contract made back then.
If I may.
Yeah, please.
One thing that Chief Harmon and I kind of keep on close discussion about is the call volume up there, and it tends to come in waves. There'd be some months where we go up there less than a handful of times, and there'll be other times where we go up there over a dozen times. Obviously, some of their incidents, yes, we do respond to, and sometimes we go up there for non-emergency things, being paperwork service and other things like that, coming from outside agencies where people are there seeking treatment. So it's hard to judge exactly what emergency responses we have up there based on our calls for service without going through it with a fine-tooth comb. I can say that we're up there probably more for non-emergent things than we are emergent things, but it's kind of it's a wavy trend.
Would you consider it an onerous amount of calls?
I wouldn't say so, no. I would say there's actually probably less now than when I first started. Would you agree, Chief?
I think it varies month to month. I think there's some months where it's getting ridiculous, but other months it's.
And like I said, they're going up there for, repeat fire alarms and stuff like that. When sometimes, like I said, we're going up there maybe 3 or 4 times a week, but it's for a paperwork service, which that could be anywhere in this town.
Right.
It just so happens that they're there. I would say for our emergency calls for service, since I've been employed by this town, I would say we have had a little bit of a drop in like an emergency calls for service up there, but then again, it varies.
Alright,
There's no trend when it comes to emergencies up there.
Cheryl has a question.
I'll just hold on, Cheryl. How much did we get last year from the treatment center? How many calls? It's based on the number of calls, right?
Yeah, so
28,000.
we get our quarterly bill from Action, and then we determine how many calls in that quarter of our total volume, what percentage was at the treatment center for medical only. And then we bill them for whatever that amount is, and I couldn't speak to how
I
much.
think it's almost like 25% of the total action bill
That's
that they reimburse the town.
similar, yeah.
Okay, so that's good.
I just was wondering if we were tying up our police on false calls and whatever up there.
Not particularly. We've developed a pretty well-working relationship with the operations manager and the safety employees up there, that if it seems like we have had in the last, I would say 5 weeks, we'd had an uptick in 911 hang-up calls up there, which have resulted from an issue with VoIP phones, the voice over internet phones. So if for whatever reason, whenever there's an issue up there with their internet, one phone on that
We'll
campus
call out.
calls 911.
Yeah.
We believe that we've isolated it. I made the operations manager aware of it. They're trying to isolate the problem. They're working with their IT company, but we've developed such a well-working relationship with them. When we get those 911 hang-up calls from the same number, we can pick the phone up, call the operations manager, and be like, "Hey, you know, is there an emergency going on up there, or is it the same issue?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, it's the same issue. It's this phone. Like, we got it." And you know, it's just something that we can rule out like pretty quickly. So
I recall being in the public when the chief people wanted to come into town with the drug treatment center after Norway Restorative moved on. And those were like some key questions that we had, especially with the fire department, because that was a frequent thing with the head injury people. I wonder why it's happening with people that are supposed to be recovering, you know, the fire alarm situation, because that was a key point that the Board of Selectmen and the public had for this gentleman that was sitting here.
The fire alarm specifically, that, you know, it's an antiquated system and it needs to be replaced, so they're on the road to that, they do have it scheduled, so that should rectify the fire alarm problem. I mean, as far as the medical problem itself, there's a whole variety of reasons, you know, that we're going up there.
Do you have a good working relationship with them, the same as like,
Absolutely.
the same?
Absolutely, we do.
So that works better for both departments, right? Yeah.
And as far as like billing and response, the fire department doesn't patrol the roadways
No.
and the apparatus. The police department patrols roadways. High Watch Road is a public way right to the gates. So they gotta patrol the roadways, I shouldn't say got to, but they typically touch each road in town at least once a shift. So if they have paper service, they're gonna patrol the road anyway, so they're already there. So, it's,
It's all
you're not
different.
really comparing apples to apples, cause they don't really patrol, so it's a different expense, if you will. That expense is already figured into the patrolling, so.
Okay, that's fine,
That's good. Thank you for that clarification.
yes.
Any additional stuff, JT?
That's all I got.
Any other additional questions? Okay. We're off to zoning. Rebecca, you're up.
Will it come sit up at the table, am I okay here?
That's it, you're okay, you're already comfortable, right? You good? I think you're good, unless you want to.
Go snuggle up at the table.
Come on over.
Is she on the can?
No, I'm okay, okay.
Oh, I don't have a back.
I don't have back either.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm gonna cheat, I'm gonna pull it up next.
Pull up the digital version of it. And while you're doing that, are there any, general questions about anything?
Well, we usually use the backside
Yeah, the
to
backside's
prompt all of our
more
questions, we don't have it,
I
so.
know you do, okay. Well,
And I'm not gonna pull it up digitally, 'cause
We
I'm
got a
through.
billion houses being built in town, huh?
I wouldn't say a million, no, unless there are a lot out there that they didn't get permits for, which is
They're modular on
Every-
Champion Hill.
Champion Hill, they got permits.
Yeah, they got a permit.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure they do.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's curious, I mean, yeah, Mr. Pycott did it just the other day, checked in with me, saying, you know, is there a permit for X, Y, Z, and I can check it even from home, because since I carry the hard record with me. So, if someone is concerned,
Rebecca,
it's
just like driving by the compound on Elm Street.
right. Well, here's the thing, is our
There
permits
we go.
state right on them that you're supposed
Well,
to
now you
post
have
where
a
the
hard
public can
copy.
see them? And 1 out of every 35 applicants puts the permit up where someone can see it. And it doesn't seem like it's worth anybody's time and money for me to run around and complain to people that they haven't put the permit up and we can see it. You know, I'm always happy to be asked.
I think it's just, in my mind, I'm seeing a lot of, activity, like on Green Mountain Road, all over it, and I'm just wondering if everything's been captured so far.
Well, we saw a lot of activity, an uptick since COVID. And I think maybe we're seeing the manifestation of some of those permits now. There were permits issued and there was a sort of a hiccup because of the cost of building supplies. So I think we're, I may not be issuing new permits, somebody may be building now on a permit that I issued a year, 18 months ago,
The guy with the cow.
so they don't have to renew. 2 years,
Yes.
permits are good for 2 years.
This one.
They renew, I just got a renewal for someone, just.
Are you aware of all these sites, Rebecca? In other words, do you stop by and see what's happening on these sites?
Well, yeah, I do, I drive around, I wasn't driving around when I did my knee operation, but I'm back to driving around.
Oh, that's a lousy excuse.
I know, come on, a replacement knee and I can't
Yeah.
drive,
Right.
what kind of excuse is that?
Beat stuff, kids, marriages, everybody's in the town.
Oh, I don't understand, it's just cats.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, see, I kept them amused.
So not much going on, just two garages, a garage and a barn, that's it,
Recent,
recent,
well, those were actually on our last,
yeah, well, June,
Yeah, they
right?
were on the last one in June.
Yeah, I did issue 10 permits in June. But, several of them were, 150-day RV permits. One was an out-of-date permit that we've been hanging on to and I discussed with you folks at a meeting. One was a chicken house, there was a garage and a barn, swim spa, that was a new one. And then a roof mount solar array, so pretty small peanuts. Or potatoes, or whatever you say, for stuff being built. No-
seventh one down,
In the permits,
yeah. On the backside, the 881 Green Mountain, we can remove that one now, right? We met and discussed that one. And
We talked about it,
yeah, right, from the top, yeah, so that will be, so you see in the bold print permit issued per order.
Yep.
Over on the side.
Okay.
So it won't
Next.
show up on the next one.
Gotcha, thank
I
you.
always try and carry it
Yep,
one more time with what the decision was.
Yep.
So
perfect,
that there's a record of the decision, and I usually, you'll see, 2 up above that.
yep, I
I
see
got
that now, yep,
Right,
Says case closed.
yep,
Right.
good point, yep, thank you.
So put that there.
They'll probably be working till 6 o'clock, have you already been out on the road today?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. Would you mind making a note for the next time you're out on the road to travel Pine River Road? In the area of 450,
It would be in the area of 465 Pine River Road.
yes,
Yeah, those guys, they're so confused, they thought they had a permit, I said they didn't have a permit, I drove it today, I took a picture, I said, is this the one that you think you have a permit for, because you do not have a permit for it? So, I talked to them last week, they said they were gonna apply for a permit for that, but I said they didn't have a permit for it. And the other structure on the property that they thought they had a permit for, that they didn't.
isn't that the same structure? They moved it,
I don't know where they moved it from, but it's on the latest drawing that they sent me, they just haven't done any permit
yeah,
application.
I'm pretty sure it's the same, because it was, when they started erecting it, it was in like a kit, they'd taken it apart and started, I think they moved it.
I don't know, I just know that they sent me a beautifully done detailed plan of everything that was on the property, but there were assumptions of stuff that already had permits that it's lost, like they lost track of what they had permits for, so we'll get it cleaned up. I stopped and took a picture of it today, so,
Thank you.
yeah. But boy, that road is getting done. I would have chosen to go that way if I'd known they were working on it.
okay, any additional questions? Thank you, Rebecca,
That's it,
thank you.
okay,
Thank you very much.
you're very welcome.
Next, town administrator report,
Alright, so, been doing a little bit of research on different things that have come, one being Ham Falls. Also been researching a previously completed property, a title company is requesting it as they're going to be closing on the property. So I've been trying to do some research regarding that. I met with one of the flooring companies, last week, who provided a quote, which will be later on in the meeting. The Access GIS software is officially on the website. So definitely go on, play with it a little bit. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. I'll be happy to kind of help you out in working with it. It's just a new mapping software for those who are unknown. You can get your butters list, you can get anyone in a radius, you can get your tax card right off of it from Avatar. So if you wanna come in and visit, you're more than welcome to, but you don't have to anymore, so if you wanna go right on there, you can get it that way. I completed a draft for the updated internal control policy, internal fiscal control policy. It was last updated in 2020. Next, I plan to meet with the treasurer in the offices before bringing it to the board, just to make sure all the procedures are correct and, how everyone flows with their jobs there. Now I've started working on some RFPs that are on our to-do list, so I can get that prepared for budget season. I started with the auditing one today, so hopefully I'll have that for you guys next meeting to review. That's what I got. Any questions?
No? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Selectmen's report.
Okay, attended several
Ladies
meetings, a normal grouping of meetings that we attend. The building committee, or the municipal building committee, will be meeting weekly, after the next meeting, which is on the 15th, I believe, at the fire station. There's gonna be a switch, we will not meet here, we're gonna meet at the fire station. After that, we will be meeting weekly, probably, we were originally gonna do Tuesday and Wednesday, like alternated, but I think really it would be smarter to shift everything to Wednesday, so that there's not a, oh, is it Tuesday this week or Wednesday this week, back and forth. Now, the only thing that will interfere with will be the ZBA, which meets at 7 o'clock, so we meet at 5:30. We'll be done by 7 so that ZBA can meet.
Sorry.
So that will be starting, but it's moving right along. The end of the month, we will have the presentation from Petco Construction, that had to be rescheduled from the last meeting to the 29th. There is a Zoom meeting coming up, that I think would be important even for you guys. It's, about what's happened with the legislature, all of the new updated laws that are gonna be affecting the towns and municipalities. A whole bunch of stuff. I don't know how they're gonna cram it into 1 hour. It's from 12 to 1. And I'm thinking that we can meet here and
What's
just
the
zoom
date
in
on that?
here.
What's the date on it?
The 30th. That'd be July 30th from 1 to 2. So it's, an update on everything that's been happening
From 1 to 2?
from 12 to, 1 to 2, yes, I'm sorry.
No, cause you said 12 to 1.
Did I? Yeah, I did say 12
When'd you
to
get
1.
this email?
I got this, wait a minute.
Was it through the government?
I got it yesterday, the 7th. Well, I got this, actually got it from the government and I also got it from the planning board. Maureen sent it out from the planning board,
Can you
to the
forward it to
planning
me?
board. Sure can. I think that it's something that we really should all just kind of update ourselves with all of this changes that are taking place.
So when are they having the meeting so somebody can explain to them what they did?
That would be a very good question, because there seems to be, from what this email says, there's an awful lot of information that they're gonna give out. And how they're gonna give that out in 1 hour, I'm really curious to see.
You're gonna have a lot of links.
Yeah, exactly, they'll probably, okay, well, this is this, and this happened, yes, and link, quote, go to this number and blah, blah, blah. But I just think that with all of the changes that are happening, especially with the municipalities, that we really need to be up to date on that, so. And that's all I have, cause with the holiday weekend and week, it was,
I was waiting, I just wanted to make sure I had a question.
oh, okay, yes,
So, just to confirm, I know you said after the next meeting, we were gonna move to Wednesdays and do weekly. Are we still having the building subcommittee on July 29th?
yes, we're gonna
because of that?
have to have it
Okay.
on the 29th.
Just wanted to confirm that.
That one will actually, the meetings will, yeah, that one will definitely still be on the 29th.
Okay.
Yes,
And then for the training, when you say government, you're saying NHMA, am I correct?
yes,
Okay,
Yes.
just wanted to confirm. Thank you,
it was from ending, yes.
thank you.
Any questions? Good? Yes.
Sure. I'm always the one that does this, so I would like to pass on my condolences to the Pycat family for the loss of Deborah on the 4th of July. Both husband and daughter work for us here at the town, and they've been in the town for a long time, and I'm sorry for their loss and on behalf of the town. Pine River Road will be my next topic, so construction started first thing yesterday morning on schedule at 6 o'clock. They are paving tomorrow morning, the first 1.1 miles that it was contracted for will be paved. And the rest of it will be ground, graded, watered, and magnesiumed, by noontime tomorrow. The other 1.1 miles. They are a little bit behind schedule. We thought that would be magging it today, but, they worked until 6 o'clock last night, and they'll most likely be working until 6 o'clock this evening with the reclamation portion of it, so. The road, that end of the road, that 1.1 miles is gonna take a significant amount of work next year. Material wise mostly, and some heavy ditching, but, it looks really good. And I think that is going to add to the call volume for monthly stats for the police department.
I was thinking the same thing.
Because, despite I mean, I saw the statistics when you guys had the traffic counter up there. Doesn't take pictures and stuff like that, but it tracks the speed, the average speed and things like that. There are a fair amount of people during this construction process, and while we've been up there trying to mark this road, boy, you really take your life in your hands, boy. The transfer station, have you talked to, our burn pit is full
Yeah, I sent an email to Elliot.
with material that cannot be burned?
I already did.
Okay. Grading, dust control has been done on several town roads, and grading. More grading is being done and dust control later this week. That'll be completed on Stevens Road, Bailey Road, Jack Russell Road. Trying to go off of memory, sorry, I have it written down somewhere else, but, Bonnyman Road, not the whole thing, just to where we stop plowing in the wintertime. The same roads that we've done every year, but, and Colquitt Hill and, Snow Road will be addressed. They were they were all graded, and we were scheduled for dust control last week. The unfortunate thing is, time and scheduling, and, it's that time of year. They're very busy. There's only one company that does it. They only got one road done. We were hoping to have them dust control done before the influx in traffic over the 4th of July weekend. Unfortunately, they only got Clough Road done, but
Wasn't Plantation done?
Plantation Road was done today.
Okay, yeah, I saw when I came back, it's almost.
What day is it?
Tuesday.
Plantation Road was done yesterday, I apologize, yesterday. So, Huntress Bridge. I know when we talked about sweeping and stuff like that, the fire department was gonna wash the bridges.
We have not gotten there yet.
Could we still get you to do that?
Yes.
And, not to say now, but, so I had a conversation with the bridge inspector. And the bridge is in pretty good shape, except for it has some winter salt and sand that's setting in areas that will increase the deterioration. So if that got addressed, unfortunately, we do also have a deteriorating, abutment on the 25 side, the Freedom side. Well, what would have been the Freedom side, had we not graciously taken their half of the bridge. That needs to be, looked at and addressed, and we need to have that conversation. And we do have a, capital reserve fund or which one do we have?
Bridge.
But that's not an EFT, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Or an ETF?
BTF.
It is an ETF? but we need to look at,
Yeah, there's 20,000.
oh boy. Okay. Well, 20 is a heck of a lot less than 200,000 if we let it go too far, but we need to, sooner than later, we need to have that looked at before it gets put on the red list, again. Which would be ironic, because I was born with that, as a selectman, with that being on the red list, so, my first tenure here. I gave you guys you folks the quotes for the parking lots at the fire station, that's just one quote. Just conversation for the library, and also fire station number 1. Fire station number 2 as well, but fire station number 2 with the intent that, any quotes or any cost analysis we get is to go with the committee, and future expansion and growth possibly.
So you wanna talk about this, or?
Not right now, not necessarily,
Okay.
unless you want me to right now, but
Well,
we can do it on the other business if you wanna talk about it, instead of, I just get through my reports if you want.
okay, I'll do that, email, yes.
While we're talking about, washing stuff, so at some point in time, the winter contractor is going to take the salt out of the shed on Route 25 at Storage Road. And the salt that's left, he does a winter salt mix anyway, so he's gonna pre-mix it, and clean up the shed at that time. Obviously, we'll reach out to you guys, can we get you guys going to wash the walls down? You folks, so that we can treat that.
Do you know what the time frame is?
I don't,
Okay,
What about the galvanized portion of it?
that's part of it,
That's part of it.
yeah,
we lose the tanker at the end of the month.
yeah. So, I'm hoping sooner than later, we have had I put the bug in his ear, bless you, wherever that came from. I put the bug in his ear already, so, we had that conversation, so I just gotta, try to nail him down to a time, and hopefully I would like to get it done sooner than later and add to the sides. Some of the ideas that thrown around are good ideas about preventing that, exposure to the salt from occurring any longer and deteriorating it. I took care of the brush at the intersection of High Watch Road and Green Mountain Road. I think we got a couple of complaints on that,
I believe so, I remember something on a corner, yeah.
that the visibility was being impacted,
Oh, yes,
so.
yes.
I took care of that brush. I took care of the brush at the end of, Townhouse Road as well, the grass and brush.
I thought road agent should be doing that.
I did it on the holiday, so while I already had my mowing equipment out, so.
Alright, got it, thank you,
And it didn't cost you guys anything, so I think that's better, isn't it?
thank
Just
you.
your backing.
Free is always good, yeah, that's true. And, I did say that the Pine River Road it's getting magnesium as opposed to calcium chloride. Magnesium, will last a little bit better, will hold up better, and magnesium, surprisingly enough, our cost was 5 cents a gallon cheaper.
Oh, okay.
So,
Cool.
that was a good saving, that's why we went with magnesium as opposed to calcium. We did beef up that budget through the budget season, knowing that this project was coming down the pike. And we got the price for knowing there was gonna be an increase in the cost, which there was of 5 cents. And as it turns out, we're getting magnesium at last year's cost, so we decided to go with magnesium, it was kind of a no-brainer, so. And everything else I have is just notes myself so I can remember things to discuss later. I'm all done, thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have.
Linda?
What was your assessment of the salt shed, Chris?
What do you mean, my assessment?
Well, we heard from Kevin.
Yep.
I was wondering if you,
It needs to be washed, the concrete needs to be treated, and we need to put, just like Lawrence said, some sort of plate on top of the wall, the concrete. Cause there is space between, where the concrete ends and the arch of the galvanized starts. So we can put a plate along there and extend at the face level of the concrete, just extend it up a little bit, so as they're piling the material up, whatever, or protects it from sitting on top of the wall. Cause that's where the deterioration is in the paneling. The worst spot isn't actually in the structural integrity, cause the structural integrity of that comes down, it's the arch that sets on the concrete wall. The actual worst spot is on the back wall, which is,
Yeah, I thought,
They mentioned something about a hole or something.
that's on the back wall.
Okay.
Yep, that's not in the structural, that's not compromising the structural integrity of the building.
And from now on, how high is that going to be?
We're gonna add at least another foot to it, so that'll make it 9 feet. But. Cause we can't go a whole bunch higher because it does start to arch, but we'll go as high as we can. I mean, if we can go 10, 12 feet, great. Just to add that added protection. Cause you know what's gonna happen if we just went 6 inches, it would spill and then we'll get stuck behind that plate that you put there, so we don't want that to happen,
so what material you plan on using to,
we could use just pressure treated wood, whatever, just to,
Right.
I was thinking some type of engaged metal or something like that, or aluminum, just, 4-footers.
yeah, something like
Right to the
that, just
frame.
plate it and we could do that too, but.
And Chris, in the future, way down the road, whoever is doing the roads will be told that they cannot pile that?
They most likely will not be told that.
Why not?
Because 8 feet is not very high to pile material, and a shed that's not that deep. It doesn't take very long for a couple truckloads to come in to have that walking out to the front of the building, so. It's kinda, the walls just aren't high enough, I mean, 8 feet is not very high.
I should've went 12.
Yeah,
It comes down to maintenance, realistically, just like the bridges, it comes down to maintenance. I faulted in the last couple of years, I should have, not been complacent, that a galvanized building sitting on concrete walls was good for eternity. Shame on me, I mean, a bridge isn't, and the bridge is made from the same materials, so, it comes down to maintenance and us doing our due diligence to make sure everything is maintained. And that's,
Well, hopefully,
including the sight unseen thing, so.
hopefully the boards down the road will keep this up.
Any additional questions? I'm gonna be short. I was on vacation for a week and then we had 4th of July last week, so, not much to report. Dealing with some of the meetings and stuff like that, building
Yep.
committee and stuff, but, so. Otherwise, I'm good, we're moving on. Business, where we took care.
we took care of Joey.
So we're gonna go with the flooring
Flooring
first.
quotes.
You wanna present that? The flooring?
Flooring quotes, probably.
Yeah, can I see all of them, cause I only have my notes. Thank you. Alright, so.
Yeah.
The flooring quotes have been a discussion for quite some time regarding the floors within this building. The floors that have been quoted on were this conference room, the entryway, the kitchen, the hallway to both offices in the back, and then the 2 offices.
So the whole building.
So the whole building.
Well, besides the bathrooms.
And modular.
Yes, and modular, yes. So we have obtained, 3 quotes. We got one from Heckman's Flooring out of Wolfboro, New Hampshire, which was a total of $28,800. We received our first quote, which was Higgins Wood Floors. Theirs was $17,308.51. For Higgins, that was just to cover the existing floor, on top of the current tile that is there. The next one is from DNC Flooring. We actually received 2 from them. And the reason we did that is, them as well as Heckman's, they did look into the floor and obviously they noticed how the tiles sit. DNC Flooring, definitely had mentioned that if you look in the corner by where Chris and Tyler are sitting, the tiles are going up, which is caused by moisture. Their first quote was $12,805.10. That's just to cover these floors. Now, that wouldn't just be covering them, without any type of padding underneath or anything to prevent them from coming up afterwards. The second proposal they gave, I need my notes for it because this is separate here. They provided a quote that added different costs, alternative costs is what they say, so it included an alternative plank, which is a heavier grade. It has a cushion back, so it'd be cushioned to the floor. And then they had alternate mitigation, which was just to mitigate the moisture in the floor. So if those wanted, if the town didn't wanna mitigate the moisture and just cover and cut the corners that are already peeled up, it would have been it would be a total $17,638.26. And added $14,175 would be added if the town board of selectmen wanted to mitigate the moisture. So those are the three quotes that were obtained. And Heckman's, theirs were to remove this old tile. But when they had come in, I was unsure of where the asbestos was at the time, so I don't think that cost is included with that. But, so,
So I'm looking at the quote for, flooring industry, and it states removing old and install 4-inch coat-based colors.
The first quote you
oh,
sent for 12,000,
oh, DNC, yep, okay. So the 12,800, 510,
fourth line down, fifth line down, it says removal.
Yeah.
And install 4-inch plank.
Color to be determined, but looks like they,
that, I don't know how much is 600 linear feet, I'll be honest with you there. Yeah, I don't know what that part stands for.
That's not a lot.
No, 600.
So
so it's probably they're
I don't know if
removing,
it's this section or the front, because the front has some chipped pieces that are like half. I'm not 100% sure exactly which piece they're talking about. But that's included on both this one and this one, so even the, one with the alternates includes that cove base, which is the remove old and install 4-inch.
Chris, you not only have tiles that are coming up, you have divots. That are gonna be,
Right.
did they saying that down,
places,
they saying that down, they
they're gonna fill.
fill it and send it over.
Yep, they will fill it with, I'm
Epoxy,
I wanna say
Some type of
paste, I
cement.
think they said a paste, but they do
Yeah.
that, so they level that out as much as they can before they.
So that's on
Lay that floor
any
down.
one of those quotes, they'll do that. Unless-
I
unless-
know for certain DNC, I can't recall with these two, but I would assume, but I don't wanna assume they would, but I know DNC would. They're the most recent I talked to, so.
Gotcha.
so going back to the removing old and installed 600 linear feet, I didn't say square footage, my mistake. Yeah, it's probably,
4-inch ones.
Yeah, cause if you look like right when you walk in the front door, you can see that it's pretty much cement.
well, that's where
And then tile.
the moisture, people walking in the winter
Yeah,
time,
the back
right,
here.
and same here.
Yeah,
So they'll probably do a little section here too, remove it.
so, these are the quotes we have. Did you want me to do more research? Did you guys wanna follow, sorry?
Go up.
As far as the asbestos, and it's gonna be very important to figure out what that cost is gonna be. Do you have to vacate the building with asbestos?
We're not gonna remove it.
You're just
Well,
covering.
one of those quotes said removal, so.
So it's through conversation and research, whatever, any asbestos would be below this tile.
Right.
Because we were told by
Oh, yeah,
a
the
vendor,
covering is great, but.
no,
Okay,
we were told by, so through this whole process, we learned this, because that's been the conversation about the asbestos floors.
yeah.
This tile that you see is not asbestos tile.
It's
If you look in any of these holes, you see the concrete floor, it's not under this tile. The asbestos that we were warned about, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, from like 2015 or something when they first.
It doesn't exist, cause you look in any of these holes, you're looking at the concrete floor, concrete is not asbestos based. So,
And then the tile, isn't the tile different size?
and, right, and the tile would've
Yeah.
been 16 by 16, right?
Something like that.
And this is 12 by 12, which they stopped that, so, one of the vendors
It was
actually
10 years ago.
educated us and is like, I don't know what the problem is, cause that's concrete right there, and that's not asbestos, and these aren't
That's good to
asbestos
know.
tiles anywhere in this building, so.
That's good to know.
so it's a non-issue.
So that's our first, so
Yeah, first,
we can be able to do something with the building that we don't have to abate it.
Okay,
According to this, who's doing the doors? Are they doing the doors?
So the doors, depending on what we have to, what we do, the doors wouldn't have to be moved, cause we did ask that question.
they already checked it out.
Yep,
I think there's, what door, was it, one door?
that one right there,
They got the doors?
correct.
Yeah.
Yep, that's part of it, yeah, yeah, that was one of my first questions, I'm like, they're gonna add on top of this and not, how many doors are they gonna have to cut, so.
So, and the last thing is, they do not move the furniture, we don't have to have somebody.
All of these quotes do not include moving furniture.
So, our civic duty will be moving furniture.
I cut grass.
Linda?
How long will, do they have a length of time, how long it would take?
I did not get that from any of them. I'm going to, guess it depends on if we go with DNC, it probably depends which one we choose. And obviously will depend on when they would be able to do the work. I don't know what their backed up is. But none of them gave me like an estimated time of start to finish.
So basically, well, between the two offices, we would have to, like a Friday.
Yeah.
1 week and the other office the other week, so we don't interfere with the.
I'm pretty sure they probably wouldn't wanna do that,
No?
well, they gotta travel,
Right, they're gonna wanna do it
they're
right.
gonna wanna be here and.
I mean, I would say if it's gonna be a Friday, move both offices out on that Friday and
Yeah.
have them do it right then and there. So it's a one Friday deal.
You're gonna have to work in the bathroom, 'cause we're not doing those floors.
Alright, so we have 3 quotes, we've been talking about this for half a year.
We've actually been talking about it, not to correct you, but I've been talking since I got elected, so.
Like I said, 2015.
we talked about.
Okay,
How important is the padding? That's the big difference from DNC.
so if we go with the alternate plank,
With the padding, we're definitely gonna cut the doors,
Yes,
yes,
every one of them,
yep,
not just one.
so we take out. So it's a different, material,
So if you're looking at DNC with the two different ones,
right,
their first one, that's just the 12,000 without any alternates. That's a normal grade, and he told me it was
Right,
20
and-
millimeters.
yeah, it's almost $9,000 for the plank, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, that's what I was just telling you, it was 20 millimeters.
So so if we go with the additional, the cushion back, it's gonna be, instead of 9,000, it's 13,832. That's what it comes down to, so we're looking at $5,000 difference.
right.
And that quote does or does not include, to Mr. Spencer's point again, because I know Heckman's did, does that one include door removal and trimming?
Not with the new stuff, the cushion, no.
Cause that's,
Anybody make any guarantees of 3 years, 4 years?
oh yeah, they all have a warranty.
They're all around the same amount?
I'll be out of office.
They're all, yeah, right.
Yeah, I was, I won't be living here.
We're gonna look ahead somehow to, put something by the doors and leave from the outside to help with not wrecking those particular tiles.
Yeah, we'll definitely change the doormat out there and with any luck, at some point in time, there'll be a hallway right there leading to
Right.
another building, so.
So not worry about that one, it's that one there.
Yeah, it's this
So
one.
I'd still worry about that one at the time, because it can get wrecked before we do anything.
Absolutely, you're right.
Okay, we'll get back here, we gotta make a decision here, so, do we wanna vote on this tonight? We'll move forward?
Or would you like me to reach out and confirm because I can't see it in Higgins. And I don't see here about the doors.
Well, there's only one door.
No. Depending on what we go with flooring.
Yeah. it-
Right, yeah, well, we could make that decision.
Flooring would be all the doors.
If you go with just a regular plank, you don't have to worry about the doors, right?
Keep talking about it.
And
Well,
that
there's still
doesn't have
one
the
door,
padding.
yes.
Yeah, one door.
And now the
But at that
moisture,
time, we had, the one door was removal of the flooring and put down new. So if we're going on top of, that may change things.
Yes, gotta be more doors. That one's pretty low.
You know what I mean?
No, I don't, I mean,
When we got the quote, we were talking about the door removal and there was only one door.
right,
We only had to adjust one door, but they were removing the existing floor and putting down new.
Right, so it wouldn't be increasing.
So it wouldn't be as high.
Right,
So if, in that discussion you're having right now, we're going on top of this. Even if we went on top of this with a thinner flooring, we're still pushing the
Still gonna
envelope
be
of that
higher,
threshold
right.
possibly. 22 millimeter, so Mr. Engineer, how thick is that?
millimeters, about 40,000.
Oh, that's, well, okay.
well, that explains it. How could you not know that?
Sorry. Can't that part of my brain shut off right now?
That's not 7/8, there's no way it's 7/8 thick. Plates are not 7/8 thick.
It could be.
No, because we have one here,
I didn't hear.
the thickness of the plank, we have
Do you
one,
want me to grab it?
yes, please.
Well, that was not these guys,
Yeah,
that was these
Which
guys.
guy was it?
yeah, which is similar to this one right here,
Is it?
yes,
Okay,
yes, because she showed them that point.
okay,
Now, this one right here is where we would have to cut the doors.
yeah.
This number right there. And that's the extra $5,000.
And that's with the padding, right? Now, that's not with the moisture mitigation, right?
No, we don't, moisture's,
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You wanna look at it? That's not 7/8, correct.
no, that's 1/4 inch.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Just stuck, yeah, but towards the other end, make it
Yeah,
stick.
the other end is, don't be bending so much.
Yep.
That's gonna be the issue right there.
Well, that's nice and level, isn't it?
It sure is.
Oh, boy.
Y'all talk amongst yourselves, I'm going measuring.
Okay.
Now, there'll be more than enough right here, you can see totally under that door.
They might be able to be sanded as opposed to cut,
The doors,
bottom of the doors, yeah, blow them down with a belt sander. And across the street, you'd be able to, might be able to take off enough, so you don't have to actually do a cut and then sand.
Yeah, I'm not sure if those,
That's labor and
I don't
whatever.
know if they're
you know.
solid or hollow. Are they hollow?
Trick you, didn't you? Too, it's coming back down.
Ah, you didn't.
That is the only door, so.
yeah, I can take care of that door.
Chris, what about the outside door? Because that does come in on the threshold, right? Something has to,
No, this one goes out.
Yeah, all exit doors go out.
but it's still over the top of the floor, isn't it?
No, it actually lands just outside of the
Okay.
threshold,
So it's just the one door.
just that one door. I thought it was just one, so.
Yeah. So, go back to again, do we wanna make a,
Yeah, make the motion. Whatever you're comfortable with. I
anybody?
like-
Right, make a motion that we proceed with DNC Flooring Industry to,
You speak up a little bit, Leo, please.
make a motion to,
Good, that's better. Yeah.
Yeah,
to go forward with DNC Flooring Industry to add new, plank, natural state 20 millimeters. Quick color to be determined, et cetera, 7x48, and be a total of, 2,107 square footage. So, and it's including installing, et cetera. For the total price of $12,805.10.
I'll second.
Discussions. Our ETF fund, we have almost 53,000 in there.
Scott's,
Uh-oh, yes.
Scott's on the fence.
No, 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 my only thought is if we ultimately move ahead with an addition to the hallway, we're gonna have continuity between buildings or doesn't matter?
No, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Hallway.
Am I correct, Carol?
I'm looking, there it is.
She's got her phone out.
When you say continuity, you're talking about color and.
Yes, I mean, now we're gonna want it to.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
match
figure-
this decision, or-
figured all that out. We
Maintenance
can,
building, I have like 118. What do you have?
well, we have,
I'm sure you have things happening.
the fire station bathroom coming out of here.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, I don't have that in here yet.
That's all, trust me, we got,
418, 443, 16,
we got 53,
the end of.
53K.
And are you also including the 35,000 that has not been paid out yet?
Well, it hasn't been paid out yet, yeah.
But that's just, I just wanted to put that in there, sorry.
Hasn't been paid out yet?
From
The
town
one
meeting.
from town meeting,
Yeah, it hasn't been entered into.
yes, that's what I
Yeah.
meant, sorry.
Yeah.
Rephrase.
No, I haven't included,
The warrant article.
Right.
no, I just took out what we had for the balance and I took out what we did for the fire station. So
Nothing
that's
goes in my spreadsheet until it's next
the
week.
actual. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
Aye.
Purple?
thank you, Caitlin, for your due
Purple,
diligence through this
lovely.
whole flooring
My
process and
favorite color.
soliciting bids for this.
Yes,
it's been-
thank you.
We asked for bids, didn't get any, and continued to hunt, continued to search, so
Where's this company located, or are they just all over?
Nebraska. Just kidding, I
There,
Wolfboro.
Yeah.
Carol,
Wolf-
nope.
No.
DNC is in Goffstown,
Goffstown.
they are specifically for government and commercial buildings.
That's how they get under stuff like that, I was like,
This is my mail.
Good job, Kate.
yeah, I was gonna say, good job, Caitlin.
No.
No, we already did that. I had another folder, oh, she's got the folder.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's what I meant to hand back with it.
Here you go.
Next topic, well, we'll cover this one first, an outdoor event application from the Preservation Society for the street fair, August 9th, 2025. Asking to close, townhouse from Corner Street to 153 from 7 AM to 3 PM.
So moved.
So we'll-
Okay, second, sure. They- We do that every year, don't we?
So that's it, so I made the motion.
You made the motion, I
Yeah,
second.
move,
Seconded.
I
second, all in favor?
seconded. Aye.
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 In case you're not. Yeah.
Next one is, with the transfer station, well, I did do some work last week with that, Elliot. We're looking at, we had some issues with, the two, the glass container and the steel container, them loading those, containers onto the pads, there's only a single pad, so it's gravel in front of it, so it digs up that whole section, it looks like hell in the springtime. I had to go down with my tractor and level that all off 2 months ago. So I asked Elliot for a quote to do 28 by 28 times 5-foot pad, concrete pad with rebar, et cetera. That would be for where the fridge and air conditioners go in. So they would have, instead of them moving those fridge around with, on dirt and everything else, they would have a cement pad, everything be a lot cleaner. And all that. Pad number 2 would be approach pad for roll-off container, 22 feet by 62 feet by 5-inch concrete pad. And this would be for, I'm not sure which container, pad 2.
So that's a metal container.
Yes. Yes, that's no, yes, the glass container. That's for the glass container, cause that one's further up, and it's gonna come right out past,
Oh, right, past the metal one.
where the shed is, down below, even up down there. And the last portion is to, there's a 1-foot existing wall off that old shed, the shed that's down below. And so when they back their containers it, they take the mirrors out. So Elliot's gonna cut that, you know, I requested that to be cut away, taken off the foundation. Pads and prep. So that's what we're looking at, and the total cost is $14,840.
There's 34,700 in the trust plus another 2,000 coming, that's 36.
Is that both, that was phase 1 and 2? the
Would that
entire
come out
thing?
of that same,
No, it comes out of transfer station.
Yeah, that's,
So, I see it's 33,202.
right, it's, well, then the interest went in and then the 2,000 from, it's gonna come from warrant money, it'll end up being like 36.
Yeah, so we're looking at 15 approximately coming out of here, so it leaves us 18,000, not 20, plus the 2, so almost 20,000 left into it.
Remember the days it had like 3,000 in that fund?
He did quote us, I asked him to do a phase 1 and phase 2. And the phase 2 would be extending the pads out to, from the existing new pads out to where the driveway goes to the sand pit. And there's a swell in that area that, the water runs off the tarmac and across the road, the driveway, and there's always a dip and plowing and trucks and everything else, so I think I would like just to sit on that for now.
Yeah, do phase 1 first.
Yeah. My major concern is to make sure that they can get the containers on and off correctly and all that. We haven't
Right.
done much on the transfer station for years, so.
What would it cost to pave that section, not the whole thing back, right, but just the apron coming down? To pave that with asphalt, then that way you wouldn't have the erosion from the water would run on top.
Oh, you're talking about putting, paving it, extend the pavement out.
right,
We have pavers all over town now, so maybe,
Well, yeah, we just got some prices on paving too. It's expensive.
no, but I mean, that's not a big area. You know, it might be just a case of sending a truck and a guy with a roller,
You could drive in, so they have a little extra.
dump it, roll it, and you're out of there.
I mean, yeah,
I'm just gonna say, Chris did obtained some quotes to do the library, 2 fire stations. You wanna talk on that, I mean, from a
Yes.
paving standpoint.
so just real quick, the, fire station number 1, which the reason why we talked to that is we had some ledge that was poked up through and destroyed the asphalt and right in front of the bays. There's a huge hole, it's a problem this time of year for the trucks coming and going, the truck coming and going, and also snow removal in the winter time. So just that alone. Trying to. Figure out the way you stapled this together, sorry.
Backwards.
So you're looking at $24,500 roughly, $24,475. That's to remove the current asphalt that's there, fine grade, compact, trimming any of the joints, obviously the concrete joints at the building itself, 153, Province Lake Road, in 2 layers, 2.5 top, bottom course, 1.5 inch compacted top course. So you're looking at $25,000 for that parking lot, which is around 400 square yards. So,
As an example of what the cost of paving.
Expensive.
and $28,825 to do the library, which, if anybody is aware of the conversations that's been had about the library, the front entrance, the apron to the library off from Townhouse Road, it's extremely wide. We're gonna essentially cut that, by 2/3. And that would become a new green area as you get to the crest of the hill where the sign is at an angle. And it would encompass, the reason why we had this conversation, again, there's 2 giant holes in the parking lot. And so parking is to the left, you have to walk through these holes to get to the wheelchair ramp. So that's the reason why I just, got quotes together, just cost analysis to see how much money we were talking. Again, this is for our current asphalt contractor. These ones I have here, GMI, who's got the bid and is working on Pine River Road, doing the dirt work too. We did, ask the, Summer Roads contractor if he had any interest or time to do the prep work for the paving. And he said he was not interested, so they just quoted this, so we can still quote it separately, the paving to the paving company and the prep work to somebody else, but this is early stage, so just to get a rough idea of how much it was gonna cost.
How often do we have to work on that, on where the erosion happens at the transfer station where it's not paved? How many times does that have to have guys come in, fill it, fix it?
We don't have guys coming in.
Once a year,
Yeah, once a year I did it. Or Elliot does it with his,
Skid steer.
skid steer or whatever, it's all gravel.
Alright, so it's not a huge expense, but it's, alright.
It's not a
Yeah,
use
yeah.
incurrence.
I get your point,
I'm just looking at the fact of the availability of pavers and what might happen. If
Yeah.
you believe that just having them fix it each year is
cost effective as opposed to paving, yeah.
that's fine.
And basically, that's why I got a quote phase two, which is like half the price of doing paving. And it'll last a lot longer. So,
So I have a question about, could be a question, could be a statement. So the town of Effingham used to use FR Carroll, I own it, for years and years and years and years. And some of us know that is now Carroll Materials, or Allstate Materials.
That is correct.
Has anyone reached out to them just for a quote for any of these asphalt jobs, just for bidding?
So the reason why I went with GMI is because they're our contractor, they're already here, and they were the low bidder on our projects, the last
Last few, yeah,
few projects.
yeah.
And Carroll Materials, Allstate didn't even put in a bid on the last two projects, so.
I think we had it nice when FR was alive, and Frank, who did all the bidding, he's not involved anymore.
alright, so moving on.
And now, yeah, I think that's better.
Make a motion,
All these little bids.
to, give the quote, give the bid to, what's this, Edwards Concrete and Excavation. Phase one per 7/8/25 is bid, is quote date. For the total cost of $14,840.
A second.
Discussions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I ain't voice, we spend an awful lot of money, jeez. It is money that's saved, so,
It's in the ETF fund, I
yeah,
mean,
it is saved, it is
and we
saved.
haven't touched.
We haven't done anything at the transfer station.
Nope.
Except for save money, I don't care what anybody says.
And we're putting, we're making money.
Yeah.
Oh, don't say that out loud.
No.
We're unlawful.
Well, we're making money from the standpoint that
We're
it's not
recouping our
costing.
losses.
Right,
Right.
that's what I'm after. Thank you. We also, you obtained a quote for the door replacement on Station One. But I'd like to put that on hold because I got Skians looking into it.
And I remembered that was a conversation, but I just wanted to have that there as.
You only have one of those sheets, Lee, you should have two for that vote works in your left hand. Oh, you do have two, I'm sorry, she's stable, they weren't stable together before.
Alright, I'm not sure if we talked about the voting works, was it a month ago?
We did, and we also talked about it at our meeting.
Right.
We did?
that You were
Yes.
not present for, so.
Last one?
Correct.
You wanna talk about it?
I make a motion that we move forward with the purchase of the vote tallying machine from Voting Works for the total of $11,400, and also the tablets for the check-in, check-out, also through Voting Works, for a total of $1,100.
A second.
Discussions.
Discussions.
What's in the trust fund?
15.
16,348, there were no warrants this year, so no money's going in.
Right, because we figured we had enough, so it's
Yeah, we had
15
enough.
something,
16 something.
16,
and what's the
that's-
total?
And that's two tablets, polling.
This would bring it to
Right.
$12,500.
Saving long enough.
And there were some other
Exactly.
things that Jim had put in the letters to everybody.
Yep, that's the tablet.
The other part,
The whole works.
that's all included.
Yep.
Yeah, 'cause-
Correct.
Yeah, because I sent a request for a quote after we had that meeting, the demonstration and all that, basically requesting all that.
It is a very nice.
It is a very nice
It will
machine.
make your life a
I
lot
liked it in
easier.
Concord, I was like,
So, did we say all in favor again?
Oh, we didn't, there was discussion, so.
That includes training, does it say anything about that?
Yeah, leave it.
That first
It is
quote,
so user-friendly.
It is.
Yep.
You are not gonna believe how user-friendly it is.
And we went to a hour long,
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
demonstration.
Uh-huh.
and we got the training right then,
Yeah,
pretty
it was-
much, I mean,
It was so
Concord, years
simple.
ago, they trained us up.
Yeah, we don't have to stay here till 12 o'clock at night.
No, unless you want to.
No, 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 no,
I
no.
wanna be trained.
We still have to register
Yes,
people,
we do.
Steve.
We can't do anything on the tablet, Steve.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, thank you very much.
That was a hot topic.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
We've been saving it for a while.
Yeah.
announcements.
Can I add something to business before we do that?
Go ahead.
2 meetings ago, we approved the security cameras and the access control system.
Oh, yeah.
I know we wanted to have another conversation about this, so I'd like to propose that we cut the access control part out and just move forward with replacing the camera systems for the 3 buildings. That'll cut the cost in half, so I'd be asking for 7,000 rather than 14 and change.
Did we approve the 14 already? or-
We approved the 14, so
Did you order this stuff?
the stuff has not been ordered yet, so
When did we voted to do that?
About a month
that
ago.
was June, it was June 10th,
it was
right?
2 meetings ago, yeah.
So June 10th, 2025, it was voted on. Then there was the conversation of the ETF being used, and if not, be contracted services, and I'll be honest, I don't think unless
You
it
don't
comes
feel
from
comfortable.
ETF, I don't feel comfortable with contracted services. That's
Agreed.
my personal opinion, because of the proposed
Right.
buildings and
Exactly.
anything,
Not
as
gonna
that's what
need
the
that.
funds were for, so.
And the original conversation was that the camera side of things would come out of the network ETF, so it's not coming out of the municipal buildings.
But-
I did speak with Carol and she felt that that was appropriate because it is a network
And how
item.
much is in that one?
I'm sorry.
How much is in that?
I'm looking.
ATM? Oh, you're looking, okay.
What is it, it's computer in network, right?
Yeah.
Computer now, yeah.
There's a lot. I think there's a lot now.
12,166.
And then
Sorry.
2,000 coming in 25, so it will be.
Yeah, so there's a little over 12,000 in it.
Yeah, so you'll have 14,166?
And
Okay.
plus interest.
Didn't we talk? And I said that I wanted to, I'm looking past you, Caitlin.
I know, I see you looking at me.
Didn't you and I have a conversation and I said I have my reservation, I don't remember voting on it. I remember talking about it, but I don't remember voting on it.
Yeah, it was June 10th, 2025,
Yeah,
it
we
was
did
vote
vote on
made.
Well, we didn't buy it yet. so-
You made the motion
Anything else
to
coming out of
approve it.
computer?
You made the
According to the
motion.
As of right now, I don't know.
Nothing this year has come out of computer.
Nothing this year, I
Okay.
mean, obviously, you don't know what will happen with
Right,
any of the building subcommittee for both new places, so, I mean,
Well, realistically,
That-
that should be part of the budget for the new building anyway.
yeah.
okay,
so-
then that would make me feel.
So the cameras will be for here,
Here in
Yes.
both fire stations as well.
no fire station.
It's the same system, all, interoperable with each other.
Okay, and, installing it,
We will do the labor. So, and the number that I just gave is enough to pay for our labor to do it, or Tyler's labor to do it. Not me, not him, the other guy.
Not you?
Apparently, I did have I mean, I do like the fact
I
that
just
it's
want
being
to know.
cut in half, but.
He's busy enough.
so since you made a motion on the last one, you wanna make a motion?
No.
Yeah,
Alright, Commissioner,
And I
I don't
think
think so.
next
We-
year
we
we'll budget
approved
to
spend
do
up
the
to
access
that, so we're
control side of
getting
things.
that, so,
Right.
Right,
We'll have a better idea where the building
Exactly.
much
plans
longer
go.
procedure.
What was your question?
no, I think that's good, since we,
We already voted, so.
so we're just, we
Spend
agree,
less than you approved.
Yeah.
yeah, just go half, basically just the cameras,
Okay, so I'll move forward with just the cameras for the 3 buildings then.
okay. That's a good point. Anything else?
I'm good.
Announcement, town clerk, tax collector will be closing at noon on July 17th, 2025.
Any training?
Training,
Nope, due to tax notices that have been sent out, there's a cutoff at noon to receive certain tax payments, so they'll be closing to finalize certain items. They'll still be here, but
Okay,
they'll be
but they're
closed for
fine,
business.
Right,
got it. Okay.
okay.
Public comments,
Long awaited. When you have a new face, like
Wow.
what you
It's
said.
okay, really.
go ahead,
It was
state
like a
your,
lot longer.
state your name and then, so,
David Spencer,
thank
Green
you,
Mountain Road.
great, go ahead, thank you.
Alright, so we have an individual on High Watch. I don't know if the board knows anything about this. I'm sure the chief knows, right?
Very aware.
Okay. We have a noise problem at all hours of the day and night. And I guess I'm looking for, since we're a grown-up town now, some sort of noise, ordinance.
May I?
Oh, we have,
So-
don't we?
Can I, what kind of noise?
Yep,
Okay.
we're finished.
So we have chainsaw on literally 24 hours, like 2 o'clock in the morning, chainsaw, okay? Which I'm far enough away, it doesn't bother me as much as some of my other neighbors, right? But now I don't know whether somebody called or somebody talked to him or just because the police department was getting called. Now we have revenge explosions at all hours of the day and night, right? And they're not quiet, right? I haven't done an MAD since I was a teenager, but they're at least that size, right? Very stressful, actually. So I have a neighbor that locks their door during the day now when they're inside because they're afraid of this person, right? But it's unnerving because all of a sudden you'll just get this huge explosion or fireworks going off. But again, the neighbors who are closer, chainsawing at 3 o'clock in the morning or before 3 o'clock. But these explosions are going off after 11, before 6 in the morning, just randomly. So you never quite know, so you're kind of always on edge. Please.
May I, Mr. Chairman?
What about
Yes, please, I would assume you're,
You're not the first person I've talked to about this, and I'm sure you're not gonna be the last. Yes, the town does not have a noise ordinance per se, but the state of New Hampshire does. The state of New Hampshire has a statute called disorderly conduct, which this individual's been warned for. That being said, disorderly conduct in this sense is a violation which would have to happen in our presence. I have been, and my officers have been called out in the middle of the night to respond to this. He's been put on notice that if we get another complaint at any point in time, he is going to be charged for such noise. I had a pretty lengthy conversation the other morning. I was there from about 2:30 in the morning till almost 4 a.m. talking with him.
You got big, I tell you, because he's kind of dangerous.
That individual and I have a pretty extensive history, and him and I actually have a pretty well-rounded relationship as far as mutual respect. So that portion I'm not concerned about as far as, him being, I understand what you're saying, but, I'll tell you, just like I've told all the neighbors, if it happens when it's ongoing, please call us. It doesn't matter if it's midnight, 2 a.m., 4 a.m. It's a lot easier for us to deal with it when we know about it when it's happening than deal with it after it's already happened. Because if you call our dispatch center that's logged, it's a timestamp. As soon as they pick that phone up, they press a button and it's a timestamp that you called at July 9th at 2 a.m. there was a chainsaw running. My phone's gonna ring and I'm gonna go there. And it's a pattern of behavior that it just helps us in the long run. If we were to eventually charge him, we can say, okay, we warned him on this day, this day, this day, and this day. We've warned him. We've given him pretty clear guidelines of when he can, work at night. It's just try to explain common sense to someone. I was like, you gotta think of everybody around you. I understand, like, hear his side and then explain the rest. He's been warned by me and by my officers once. The next time is the charge, so he's been warned twice. But we've received these complaints from all the neighbors kind of after the fact, and that's why I'm telling you the same thing. If you hear it, call us. The other morning when it was ongoing, I got 3 calls between the time that my phone rang when it woke me up and the time that I got there. All the neighbors were like, hey, yep, what's going on? I'm like, yep, I already know, I'm on my way. So,
Okay.
Wow.
yeah.
And they record.
And if we adopted an ordinance in town, it's the same statute, it's the same thing.
Has to be,
It has to be. It has to,
Can't be more.
And if I may, if we adopt an ordinance, it's a fine to the town. Disorderly conduct is a charge, and then it's, it's court fines, court proceedings, court dates.
terrific.
All that. But with that, like, digging in a little bit deeper, because it is a violation, has to happen in our presence. That doesn't mean if we show up and the noise is stopped, that doesn't mean that we can't do anything. We can follow up with you guys at a reasonable hour, not at 2:00 in the morning. We can take your statement and then use your statement if you guys are willing to proceed within the court proceedings with us. We could use your statement to then apply for an arrest warrant. So,
Okay.
it's a process, but I just want everybody on record to know that even if the noise stops by the time the police get there, we can still, use your statement if you're willing to do so against them and use that as, leverage for an arrest warrant.
Again, it's not the chainsaw so much, it's the explosions.
Absolutely, and
Yeah,
the other morning, personally, when I got called up for it, it was 2:00 in the morning and chainsaws were running, that's what it was. It was shut down relatively quickly, and like I said, I was there for an hour and a half almost. Just because I've known the individual for a long time, and I know that he is going through some personal issues I'm not gonna speak to, but I think it's, he's working basically around the clock just to try to pay his bills because of what's going on with him, which is not an excuse. We had a pretty in-depth conversation about that. And then the rest of the conversation was just me trying to give him a little bit of advice to, ease his mind a little bit, cause he was stressed out due to his situation.
wow.
All right,
Pretty good?
I'm wonderful.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'll be talking to you at night at some point.
Do you want my card for the dispatch line?
Sure,
If you call,
I know Maria will call you because she keeps
yeah,
calling
if you
anyway.
call, yeah, she calls me. I talked to her, Maria the other day, actually, about it.
Yeah.
If you call the dispatch number, it's just gonna prompt you, it's gonna be an automated system real quick, just press 1, and it'll connect you right to a dispatcher.
Okay,
Alright?
good, I'm sure more calls are better than just one.
Absolutely, please, and if you talk to your neighbors about it, even though I've already talked to most of them, whether it was on the phone or on a car stop the other day, please let them know, call when it happens,
I
cause
mean,
it's
it's
a
been
lot.
going on for weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier for us to deal when it's ongoing. So I encourage everybody to let us know when it's happening, because it's a lot easier for us to deal with.
Thank you, I'm glad you're on top of it.
Absolutely.
sorry that you had to come in for this reason. Thank you for sitting through our meeting. It's good to see
Yes.
some new faces here, so,
I show up once in a while.
yeah.
Hopefully it was informative.
It was, I learned something.
Thank you.
Steve Brigham, yeah. I'd like to talk a little bit about Pine River Road, all that's ongoing. I understand that, a while ago, our road agent, cleared away some brush and stuff at the confluence of Pine River Road and Elm Street. I'm just saying that it wasn't enough. And I'm wondering who owns that land right there at that point?
So if you're talking about in the point itself or the opposing side with the scrub, I shouldn't go into the species, but in the triangle?
Going towards, Ossipee or going towards,
If you're on Pine River Road and you come down Elm Street on the right-hand side, right at that point.
Yeah.
You still have to, I don't have when I use a car, it's all right, but if I'm on my pickup truck, I gotta just about go into the other lanes across Elm Street to see if anybody's coming.
Yeah. So we've already gone beyond we pushed the envelope as far as our right of way for brush removal when he went in and around the bigger trees. So to take down bigger trees, if we take down more trees, Steve, this is what's gonna happen, cause that intersection 30 years ago was half the size that it is now.
it'll be the size it'll be.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a lot larger, cause cars, You know, everybody's always looking for the shortcut, you know, everybody's in a hurry, time sensitive. So, I mean, I have a very large truck myself, I come to that intersection every single afternoon, you have to square up to Elm Street. I mean, it's just the safe,
That's a terrible location, something, there's gotta be something that's gonna remediate that problem of, it's sightlines that you miss. I don't wanna just cut down trees but you can't see what's coming, and sometimes you're too late, and then you look to your left, and someone's coming.
yeah, it's, you have to square up to Elm Street, there's plenty of apron there, plenty of space there to square up to Elm Street, and there's plenty of sight distance after you do that. There is a little bit of questionable sight distance to the opposite side of the road, because they didn't start mowing until they were around the corner when they did the brush clearing. So that there is some smaller vegetation that does need to be dealt with and will be dealt with. But you just have to square up. I mean, we're already, like I said, we're already gone beyond our ability to do any more brush removal, so you just gotta square up and.
Just like you to keep at it then anyways, cause I mean, any little bit helps, but it still isn't enough.
Yep, agreed.
Alright, thank you for listening to me.
Any other questions or, comments, whatever?
Can I just add on to what I just talked about? I do wanna just forefront piggybacking off the issue that you brought up, even if the individual is charged, there's nothing saying that the noise isn't gonna continue and it's a vicious process. I just wanna be upfront about it. It may be a temporary fix, but it's not something that we can hold on, you know, like.
I know that.
Okay, I just wanted
I know
to,
this could go on for a long time until something bad happens.
unfortunately, but it's just, we only have the legs that we can stand on. I just wanna, and I've been telling everybody that. Like, it may be a temporary fix if we do arrest them and we take them down to the jail and there's a bail commissioner there, he could be out in 10 minutes and then right back.
And I'm not sure he cares.
You know,
Right,
rev
that's
that
the
thing.
chainsaw up more.
And then if it happened again, we can turn around and go right back, but it's just gonna be that cycle, unfortunately. Because that's just how the world is, I guess, is the best way I can.
It is.
We'll figure out the next level of
Yeah.
revenge is,
Yeah,
as I guess.
If it's a state ordinance, can you get a statey there to back you up?
They would have the same jurisdiction I would,
Right.
and it would be the same thing, if we were to charge him and take him to the jail and there's a bail commissioner sitting there waiting, they could be out in 10 minutes and right back home.
Would it be harder though if he was picked up by a state as
Doesn't make a difference.
It's the same as what we do, state police has the same.
Yeah, they're not second class, they're first class.
I like that, I like that where everybody has a right to screw over everybody and not have to pay.
It's unfortunately, you can't arrest somebody for not having common courtesy and lack of common sense, but,
That's the way
Is
it
he
is.
actually cutting wood?
absolutely,
Oh, he is, okay.
That's his job.
yes.
Oh, okay, cause I could imagine someone.
He's trying to make money to live,
Yeah.
and I get it,
It's not the only community.
It happens in every community.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
No, what I mean is, he's cutting wood in other communities too,
Yes,
in the middle of the night.
yeah,
Oh.
really.
yes,
He's sharing the pain.
Really?
it's not just here.
It's not just here.
Oh.
I know sometimes he
Sounds like
disappears for a couple of days,
Richmond.
you didn't know where
So
he
he
went.
gives you a break and then.
He's in,
Some
awesome.
vigilantes together. and-
I will say, without getting too in depth about it, that the individual may not reside there much longer in the future, without getting too in depth.
Alright,
That might
so,
be saving
That'll be-
grace.
No, that's too much.
okay, so,
No, it's just their potential house sale,
Yeah.
nothing bad.
yeah, we're good.
Yeah, but you don't know how
Leave it
it's
at-
gonna go.
So, you're on it.
Yep.
You got a contact?
All I need,
Right, thank you. Any other? Alright, meeting's adjourned, we're gonna be going to
No,
non-public.
meeting's not adjourned.
Well, it will be down the road tonight sometime.
Make a motion to go into non-public
Yes, got it.
Second,
under RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, little c.
You don't know that by heart yet?
All in favor?
aye,
No, that could be
Aye.
different.
I actually have to read it by law.
Stay here.
state the time, state the time,
when I was like,
At,
6:30. 6:30.
18:28.
Thank you, everybody.
Tyler? Tyler?
twenty-eight.
Yes.